Welcome to Let's Talk Higher Ed Careers, a podcast from Herc Jobs. I'm Jessica Wise, Co-Executive Director and Director of Programs at the Higher Education Recruitment Consortium, also known as Herc. This show is designed to help you explore, begin, or grow a career in higher education. Each episode features insights from higher ed professionals, career coaches, and HR experts who share real stories and practical tips for navigating the higher education job market. Our guest today is Amanda Duval-Norwood, a seasoned human resources executive with more than 20 years of leadership experience across higher education, healthcare, and senior living. She currently serves as Human Resources Officer at Harper College. Welcome, Amanda, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Great. To get us started, tell us a little bit about your institution.
So I work at William Rainey Harper College, or Harper College as it is known. We are the second largest community college in the state of Illinois, outside of the city colleges of Chicago. And we are located in the northwest suburbs of Palatine. Harper College is just an awesome college to work for. We act as a 2-year college with a 4-year college or university mentality because we really want our students to succeed. We are constantly adding new programs. We have been very fortunate to see an increase in our enrollment. So we know that, we are having students come in right after high school. So we have a lot of the traditional age students, but we also have a lot of returning students. So, our average age is, late 20s, early 30s, and they are people who maybe have put off college for a little while, or who have decided to change careers, maybe after taking care of family or working in a different industry. And so we are always asking our partners in the community, what do you need next? What do you need in the workforce? And this has really allowed us to expand what we have to offer. So one of our very new programs that's just coming off the ground is an aviation program. So imagine, you want to work on airplanes or you want to run an airport terminal. And so we now have a campus at a community airport, then and the college owns a plane. Most colleges can't honestly say that, but it allows that hands-on opportunity for the students to have not just a simulation or a textbook experience. They can really roll up their sleeves and allow us to give them that experience that they need. And then, backing that is 1,400 employees that take care of our 32,000 students that we have. And we have faculty members who have been here for 40 years, and we have faculty members who have been here for, just a little over 4 months. And the same thing on the staff side. And it's so exciting, and really is a telling story when, you can have a new employee join your department and say, oh, and here's this employee, and they've been around for 40 years and can really tell you the history of how Harper has changed, and how we give back to our community. One of the things that I hear every day in the back of my head is our president, Dr. Avis Proctor, who has been around since 2019. She will say, "We are not a community college. We are the community's college." And what that means is she wants people to come to our campus, whether they are taking a class, whether they are using our library services, whether they're walking their dog through our campus. We want to have people here. We want people to know that we are a resource for them. I will hear from people sometimes. They will say, well, I'm not taking classes there. Why would I come to Harper College? Well, we have a community fitness center and a pool, and we have great walking paths, and we're an open campus. Come and go to the cafeteria if you want to. And so it's a great opportunity for us to showcase and to really be excited about what we do and what we have to sell to our community. From an HR lens, it also makes it really easy for us to recruit people as well, because it's such a great organization to sell and to be excited to be able to work here.
Yeah, that maps because I feel that from you when you talk about Harper College. There's a sense of pride, and I can imagine that's all staff and faculty have a sense of that, and that explains the why behind that pride and really honoring the institution. That's exciting to hear, and I love that framing of the community's college. That's fantastic. So you mentioned quickly about your role, but can you tell us a bit more about your role at Harper?
Sure. So I serve as the Chief Human Resources Officer here at Harper. That encompasses anything and everything human resources. So talent acquisition, systems, benefits and compensation, employee relations. I also serve as the Title IX, Title VI coordinator, the non-discrimination officer, all that fun stuff when it comes to compliance. And you can only imagine when we are taking care of such a big population of students, we then have a big population of faculty and staff. And so I never have 2 days that are the same in a row. And I think most human resources professionals will tell you that. That's the fun thing about our job. We never know what to expect when we walk in the morning. But working in higher education, and I've been in higher ed for 15 years now. I've been on small private community or small private colleges. I have been on large state public university campuses. There is just an energy that you feel. And I think we get that from students, but I also feel that we get that from our coworkers.
Yeah.
We go into higher education because we love higher education. We love that gift that we can give back. We are not coming into, be on the news every day or to, maybe, in the spotlight. We are here to serve the students. And so that from a human resources lens is what we ensure as we are placing job advertisements and recruiting and retaining people, that is that deep down mentality that they have. The core values of our college are respect, integrity, collaboration, and excellence. And that is everything that we do. And it looks different for people across the campus. And so when we are talking about collaboration, are you talking about just working with coworkers within your area, or are you serving students across the whole entire campus that you need assistance from? And so HR kind of, we act as that hub, and we ensure that we are hiring good people. We're retaining those people. We make sure that our compensation and our benefits is fair, and that we don't have people leaving because of our pay. But we also do a lot with professional development. And so we are very fortunate that throughout previous strategic plans, there was a commitment to professional development. And so we were able to develop a program. We are getting ready to have our fifth annual professional development day here soon on campus. And that is a commitment that the college has made. We have no classes that day, the offices all close, and it is a day to celebrate community on campus. This year's theme is mental health. And so we're
Right.
focusing on mental health for individuals, for taking care of our coworkers, and for taking care of students in the classroom. And so we're super excited because I think that shows the commitment that the college has about caring about each other, and for us to be able to build our employees and to focus a spotlight on them. We rely very heavily on coworkers to help us lead that day, and to be able to share their own successes as well. So, I know a lot of people will say, oh, human resources, you're like the principal's office. And yes, I am, because I need to ensure that people are following policy and procedure. And that's really important, but we also get to grow each other. And we talk a lot about being a family at Harper. And that truly is the feeling that we want everybody to have when they come to campus to work here.
Yeah, I can see that. You talked a little bit about the different institution types that you've worked at. I'm wondering if
Mhm.
you could talk a little bit about the difference of working at a community college, Harper or otherwise, versus maybe a four-year institution.
Yeah. I think from an HR side and from my own experience, I don't get to build that relationship with students very often. And so when I do, I take full advantage of it. So if it means that I can support them by going to a play on campus or showing up to the basketball game on a weekend, that is one thing that I appreciate about any institution is, if we don't have students, we don't have a job. And that's what it boils down to. And if it is a way that I can support them because I'm not in a student facing position, that is one big difference that I see from the other institutions that I have worked at. I also find that here at Harper, especially, we are always looking for what's next. There's no like, oh, we're very satisfied with, the programs that we have to offer, and we're gonna perfect them and really hone in on them. Our faculty and staff and our leadership are out there asking employers in the community, what are you looking for in your next employee?
Hmm.
What skills are they lacking? Is it something that we can do for training? I mentioned the aviation earlier. I mean, that's an exact reason why we did that program. O'Hare Airport is just 20 minutes down the road from
Hmm.
us. And so when we hear, oh, they need airplane mechanics, they need maintenance type positions. Fire safety is another one. So we actually just built an emergency services training center on our campus that somebody coming in who wants to be a firefighter and has never been through that kind of training before gets to experience hands-on technique perfecting type equipment and experiences, but at the same time, local fire departments will also be able to take advantage of that setting and not have to drive an hour away and pull services out of the community, and if there's an emergency, then they need to rush back. You don't always get to see those kind of experiences
Yeah.
on a private liberal arts campus, which is where I was at. So those are just fun things. I talk to people about my role in human resources, and most people will think, oh, well, human resources is just, you make sure that people get paid and you make sure that people get benefits. And yes, that's a big piece of the job. But I share this philosophy with myself and with my employees about being part of the college. When we support the work that we're doing and get excited about what our students are doing, it just adds to us, being engaged in that sense of belonging across the whole entire campus.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And that pace of innovation is
Yes.
really exciting
Mhm.
that, yes, it's happening at 4 years, no doubt, but the pace that you all are able to respond to that and being really tapped into those workforce and community needs, it's a tighter link than I think we see at other institutions, is really compelling. And you're not having to lose that student connection if you're willing to kind of go that extra mile, that you still
Absolutely.
have that. We know it in your work, but it's different to actually see a face and remember when they first started.
Yeah.
And that's one of the pleasures. So I love that you get the innovation pace, you get the community links, but you're not losing those student connections. That
No. No.
really why we're all here.
Yep. And
So
fun to cheer about when graduation comes around. Like, I know that
yeah,
student and I know that
yeah,
student. And
yeah.
oh, that was my student worker last year. I mean, I'm just excited at graduation as the parents and the family members that are in the stands. So it's just a great opportunity.
That's such a like why so many folks are in higher ed,
Yeah.
and it's really exciting to see that. And I think at a community college, we know what they are in terms of kind of launching points for family socioeconomic changes in their family and the kind of leapfrog that community colleges provide. So that's even probably even more exciting.
Yes.
I want to dig in a little bit because some, people somewhat have an idea of what sort of roles are available on campus, but we're always trying to tell the story of what sort of jobs are you hunting for, or employees are you hunting for right now? What sort of opportunities are available? We
Yeah.
often have to say it's more than just faculty roles, which faculty roles are great too. And some of the teaching things that you described are really exciting teaching opportunities. But what else is available for folks on campus?
Yeah, I just want to touch base on faculty real quick, and then I'll go
Yeah.
into the other positions. Because a lot of times when people hear, "Oh, you work for a college, you must teach
Hmm.
there." No, I don't. There's
Yeah.
the operations side of the house and the non-student facing side of the house. So when we think about faculty, we of course have full-time faculty positions. We rely very, very heavily on adjunct faculty as well.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great opportunity for somebody who really has a passion for their industry and what they're working in. And if they want to share that knowledge with
Hmm.
others, you might teach one class every fall semester and you're coming to campus one night a week. So there's an opportunity there for professionals in our area too, that, maybe a nurse or an accounting, a CPA, come and share that experience if it's something that you would really like to do.
How would someone
Yeah,
get that started? If they were,
yeah,
let's say an accountant and
yeah.
were ready to give back, how would they proceed?
Yeah, so we post all of our adjunct positions on our website. So if you live in an area and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that I can do that." Check out the college employment website. It will be there. If you don't see anything that's posted for an adjunct, I would say do a little research, find out who the chair of the department is, and then send your CV or your resume directly to that chair and say, "Hey, I'm interested in working adjunct. If you have a position, please reach out to me." And then that's a perfectly safe way to go about that way and make that connection. They might not have anything, but they might be
Mhm.
collecting things. Maybe they know that there's a retirement coming up or a resignation, those types of things.
Mhm.
A lot of times what we end up doing is if we have a full-time position open up, we might fill it with an adjunct for a year because then that allows us to do that nationwide search for the full-time position
Mhm.
and not have to rush that process for
Yeah.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. And
yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
people have success too coming in and doing a guest lecture for
absolutely.
somebody that's
Yes,
out of town or whatever,
yeah.
and then that gives them that chance to learn both sides, whether it's a good fit. That's great.
Yes,
That's a
yes,
good model.
definitely. Yeah. From the student side of the house, then, if you think about all the other positions that are out there, there's
Hmm.
so much support in like our access and disability office, and we are
Hmm.
seeing more and more students coming in and needing some sort of accommodation.
Hmm.
And so please take advantage of that. I hear from people sometimes, "Oh, I didn't want to bother you, I didn't want to ask for this." No, ask for the please,
Yeah.
but we have a very vibrant student affairs team across campus because we don't have that residential feel, because we're not here, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but we still want students to feel like they are here on campus. So, we have student engagement. We have a manager of our organizations across campus, our student clubs. We have veterans resources that are out there. We also have a program that's called Hawks Care, which handles food and housing insecurity and resources. We have a large, large group of advisors across campus, some specifically within programs, some general advising. We just redesigned our whole advising program for new students. So that certainly is an exciting piece for us across campus. A lot of support positions. So when you think about all of the individual departments that are out there, so we have department coordinators in the music department and in the history department that are helping faculty get classes ready, classrooms ready, whatever that may look like. We have an admissions office, of course. So, our because we are a community college, our admissions process is pretty easy for people to manage. But we also need to make sure that people have all the steps followed so there isn't any delay in what that process looks like. We have a large, beautiful library on campus that is open to everybody. I think I had mentioned earlier that it's open to the public as well. So if you live in the district, you can come to our library. But within that is our academic support and tutoring center as well. So if you're struggling through that really hard math class, please don't struggle. Come and talk to a math tutor because that's what they are there to help you out with. We have a lot of lab assistants in our programs because there is one of the largest health careers. And so when you think about like our nursing program and our dental hygiene program, lab assistants, because there's that hands-on component with it. And then more on the like the operations side of the house and the non-student side, we of course have IT and human resources, risk management, facilities are all in-house with us. Accounting services, which is where students go and pay their tuition bill when they need to. We also have a foundation, and so we have thousands of scholarships that students can apply to. So our foundation group is working on bringing money into the college and keeping those scholarships going year after year. We have a very robust DEI office that continues to offer programming and resources to students and faculty and staff. And they're a great group with events and programming and training. And then workforce development is another big thing for us. When the community is asking us, is this something you can work on? Do you have a program for this? We also have the workforce development group that oversees our community education. And so maybe you're non-degree seeking. Maybe you've just retired and your passion is to learn about baking. We have baking classes within the CE programming, but we also have like Excel classes and flower arranging and the history of Chicago. So, I mean, a very, very vibrant community and lots to offer with that. And then another area that I don't want to forget to talk about is data. So, our institutional research and institutional effectiveness is that heart of everything that's going on at the college. What does our enrollment look like? What does our graduation rate look like? What are our diversity statistics out there? And that, when we start getting into data, we're not only talking about students, we're talking about faculty and staff. We're ensuring that the work that we are doing, has some of that return on investment for us. We don't want to have a program that is failing and that we continue to sponsor that it doesn't have students enrolling in it or it doesn't serve a purpose to our community anymore. And so that piece and our president is very data driven. And so we really want to make sure that, if we are asking the community for more money. So maybe we're going to do a referendum because we need to raise some money. Or maybe we are going to talk to one of our constituents at the state level or at the federal level to help fund a bill or offer grant money for us, that we have the facts and figures to back us up with all of that. And then the last thing that comes to mind on things is training for our community partners as well. So we do a lot in our Harper Business Solutions that may be a large organization down the road from us that says, we want a leadership program. And so they can come in and they can design something for a community partner. And then we have a group of instructors that would go out and teach those classes on behalf of Harper. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There is not just the classes that are busy every day or our athletics program or our performing arts program. Harper operates as a very large organization institution as well, not just serving the students who come here we have another campus that's located over in Prospect Heights. It's the Learning Center, and it's, we're always looking for what else can we do to help the students succeed, the community succeeds. And it takes a village. You could only imagine, like, this is not just one department that's like, okay, they're the end all be all of things. If we're not all operating as that large, big unit, then we're not going to continue to see the success that we have seen.
Yeah, I just love you've really laid out how you can find your passion, whatever it is. Let's say I just think about, if you're really great at administrative t roles, let's say that's what your training is, but you're passionate about the performing arts. I just love the idea of being able to meld, the skill and the passion with so many of the descriptions of what you had of those different roles. You're going to find it. You're going to find it there
Yes.
somewhere. And
Yeah.
earlier you said keep an eye out on those jobs, look at the job board, maybe contact the department chair, and that's really great advice. I'm wondering if we could pivot for a second, and for folks that haven't ever applied to higher ed,
Mhm.
what are some of the things, the kind of tips and tricks that may not align with what you heard in more of a corporate environment?
Mhm.
What do you want people to know about the application process?
Yeah. Patience is a big thing. I
Mhm.
think that the hiring process on higher ed just it takes a little bit longer. And I don't have a specific reason why. It just does. And we just have a lot of things that go on. Um, when you are coming to a position in higher ed, and I've seen this from my very first institution, which was a large state institution that had 60,000 students and 5,000 employees, to the smallest one that I was at that had 12,000 or 1,200 students and about 300 employees. There is an expectation that you are not there just to do your job. There's more to it. And we're there to serve the students. And so if a student looks lost and it means that you're going to be 5 minutes late for a meeting because you walked them to where they were, that's perfectly acceptable.
Mhm.
If a student asks for your time, the expectation is that it doesn't matter your job, that you are going to be looking out for the student, whoever it may be. And that there, the sometimes when I think of corporate environments, you think of like, I like to call them cubicle farms. So a cubicle farm that everybody is sitting at their desk and their heads are down and they're just typing, 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 typing. Um, you won't find that in higher education. It is definitely just uh, a much warmer. And don't get me wrong when I say that, because I know that corporate environments can be warm. But there is just this, again, I go back to it, a family environment. We want to know how you're doing. We want to know, oh, do you have something to celebrate with us? Not only at that student level, but at that faculty and staff level, because that's what keeps the momentum going on things.
Mhm. Mhm.
When we do recruiting for our positions, we want to know from your learned experiences. And so, yes, you might say that you type 90 words a minute and 100% accuracy, but what happened when you handled this type of situation, that behavioral type thing. And behavioral interviewing is nothing new. That's been around for a very, very long time. But it is much, much easier for us to understand how you handle different environments and situations, um, to ensure that you would be a good fit in a position here on campus.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
those are some of the big differences.
Yeah, showing the kind of understanding the mission and kind of why you're
Yeah.
there. So things like cover letters probably start to take.
They do tell your story.
Mhm.
And we tend to ask a lot of not necessarily pre-screening questions, but more experience questions right up front. So
Mm.
it takes a little bit more time to fill out an application with us. Yes, we have the standard application that we need you to fill out, and you can upload your resume and it'll parse it out for you. And that cover letter tells a story as well. But we may have questions that are right on the application that help us understand who this is that we're reviewing and whether we want to move you on in the process.
Mhm. Mhm. That's great. Yeah, and that explains a little bit of the time and
Yeah.
understanding the why behind that
Yeah.
additional time. And that we've heard things about higher ed application processes, but that really goes to exactly what you described. But knowing that is really helpful.
Yeah.
If you had one thing to leave people with that were
Mm,
considering applying to a role I'm going to be more specific actually. If you had one piece of advice or wisdom or insights to share with people that were thinking about applying to a role at a community college, what would that be? What do you want to leave them
yeah.
with?
Um, Jessica, you said something just a minute ago, and that's find it. When you want to find your passion, that's our tagline right now. Find it. You see that all over the place here at Harper,
Mm,
and it's on our marketing materials because anybody can find it. So it doesn't matter what role you're in, faculty, staff, students, community members coming in, whether you're a student who has just decided, I'm going to take one class and I'm going to take it slowly. And if I'm going to graduate in 10 years, I'm going to graduate in 10 years. Or, hey, I'm out of here in a semester. Or if you are a brand new person to higher education and you got a job in a department supporting faculty, or if you are somebody who has, I think our longest tenure faculty member is at 47 years right now, you will find it on campus. And if that means that you become an advisor to a student club that you have a passion about, or you decide like I'm going to be in a play. We have a play going on right now that has faculty and staff in it as actors and actresses.
I love
And
it.
so anybody will find. If you, I cannot think of anybody that I interact with across our campus that doesn't do something outside of their position because we want people to find it.
Yeah.
Harper has such a great story to tell, and to see how it's grown in the almost 60 years that we have been around. Um, we're not going to stop telling our story, and that's who we want on our campus. And I don't think that Harper is unique to any other community college to say that, because I talk to my counterparts within the state here, and then when I'm at conferences and events, I get to talk to other community college members, and there is that same passion that is there, and everybody is a little bit different with it. So for us to say find it, then it's kind of like the go out and explore and don't be afraid to experiment and try something and then step back. And that's just because you've got that affiliation with Harper, we're going to support you through that, no matter what your designation is with us.
Oh, that's such a thrilling way to kind of wrap up our conversation. I think so much about, we know from our workforce survey work that people really are trying to figure out how to balance not just work life, but life at large. And
Yeah,
so much of what you're describing is that if you're integrating those things together, that your passions and your work come together, and then you can find these places where you can really explore these areas outside of just the head down, because we all have our
yeah,
head down moments,
of
right?
course.
But we need the rest of it. And kind of that human approach to work. You've kind of described that as close to perfection of what people I think are looking for now. They're looking for that connection to mission, the passion of the work that they're doing, the connection to students, the connection to community. And those are the things that people are going to need to be able to really stay and feel fulfilled and thrive in their roles. That's
Definitely.
a great image for us to part with.
Yeah.
Well, a big thank you to our guests for being part of today's episode. If you're exploring, starting, or growing a career in higher education, Herc Jobs is here to support you. Join us next time for Let's Talk Higher Ed Careers for more real stories and practical advice from across the higher education community. Thank you, Amanda. It was a wonderful conversation, and we hope to see you again soon.
All right. Thank you very much.